gentlemen, it is time once again
for
the greatest podcast YouTube that you will witness in this lifetime. I'm here with J-Rob. J-Rob, what time is it?
It's Jerry and J-Rob time.
Yep, Jerry and J-Rob cover it all. Nothing is off limits around here.
That's right. That's right. It's a lot of unorthodox.
Including the English language, because we'll just make up words, throw
Make
them
it
out
up,
there.
whatever it wants to be.
As long as it gets the point
be.
across.
You got me, fam?
I got you, bro.
What's going on, Jerry? How you doing?
Man, if I was doing any better, I'd be you.
You don't want to be me.
I'm enjoying this weather.
It is excellent weather. You
It's
know
like,
what I did?
It's like 80-something degrees, sunny.
What'd you do yesterday?
It's beautiful. I played with the grandbaby yesterday.
Did you do it outside?
We did a little bit outside, yeah.
Yeah.
We went outside and played with the cats, put some birdseed out.
You know what I did yesterday? I got into a beautiful Viper GTS.
Yeah?
And I turned it on, and I backed it out of the driveway, out of the garage, and then I parked it over out of the way, and then I cleaned out a garage.
Oh, I thought you were going to tell me you went cruising.
No, I just cleaned a garage.
Hey, so something exciting I got going on this week. I am taking my motorcycle safety course.
Ooh!
So that I can get my license to ride, and then I'll be looking for a bike to go cruising on these nice days. Not on Sunday, though. It's the Lord's Day. I'll be in the house of God.
That's true. As am I. All my buddies are out driving cars right now, but I'm here. I'm in the house. I'm in the Lord's
Priorities,
house.
man.
That's
Priorities.
exactly right. That's exactly right. So what, you're looking for an 1800s, what you told me the other day?
Well, that's what was suggested to me. Of course, I don't know much about them, but I'm a bigger guy, and I talked to some bigger guys who ride who said, get a good-sized bike so that you can enjoy it. You won't be trying to get something that's lugging you around or can't keep up with traffic.
That's true. That's true. And you know what? You're living in like the mecca of crossroads for bikers out here in Burnett, because yesterday, I think every open facility in this town had bikers parked in front of it. Everyone from Baca to Joe Blow to Banditos and everybody else. They all come
yeah.
You got plenty of people to go ask questions about bikes too. You fit right in. You gonna get your cut too?
Yeah, I got to get my leathers and everything.
Leathers?
Yeah.
What's it gonna say on the back? What's your patch gonna be?
Man, I don't know. I got no idea.
All right, we'll have to come up with something like that.
It might say Jerry and J-Rob on the
Ooh,
back.
I like that one. I like that. You gotta be a hangout first, and then you finally get.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, what do you got exciting going on?
Well, as we mentioned last week, and it just got posted on the podcast, was we got a coffee shop coming in. So BTX Coffee here in Bertram, Texas. We're going to be affiliated with the library. And even more exciting, Jerry and J Rob podcast will be recording from there. So we're going to have a steady day of Wednesday mornings, and it will be live, whereas it won't be recorded anymore. It will just be live. Of course, there will be a recording. Go back and listen to it. But so you and I will be there, I think around 7-ish, if that's not too early. And that's probably way earlier for me than it is for you. But yeah, we'll do it live from the library.
I mean, as long as there's coffee.
There will be coffee.
I'm good. I can show up for coffee that early.
Have coffee, we'll podcast. Very good.
Hey,
so
I can see that becoming a sticker. That's going to become a
like
thing.
that. Have coffee, we'll podcast. All right. Sounds good. Well, we're getting some things ironed out for that and moving, ahead swimmingly. It's going pretty well. We just got to get some equipment in, and I think that's it.
Well, I'm excited about it.
Yep. I'm very excited about it. So look forward to that for sure.
Bertram needs a place for folks to hang out.
And I think that's a big part of what we want to contribute and bring on the more serious side is I don't necessarily just want you to come by and grab a cup of coffee. We want you to hang out. We want to conversate with you, and you come by. I think eventually we're going to have some live music out there as well, and just a place to chit chat with others and maybe get some work done. If you're on the company dime getting some coffee, then come sit out, and I believe there's free library Wi-Fi and whatnot, and what better place than to snort up some of that coffee smell all day.
So sometimes around our house, I'll brew coffee that I don't intend to drink just because I want to smell coffee.
Really?
Yeah.
That's like the original monks. Wow.
Well, if I drink it too late at night, it tends to give me some indigestion. But
Really? Okay.
But I do enjoy the smell of good old pot of coffee.
It is good. It's wonderful. All right. So today we were kind of kicking around the idea of different things. You and I are not too politically motivated to speak too much, but we wanted to discuss some things that we've noticed popping up here lately in our endeavors as we go about our daily business. And that is the topic of emotions. And I think we live in a time now where emotions affect more things that we do than anything else. That may not be entirely accurate, but it sure is close, or at least seems like it's accurate. What do you think?
Well, the only problem with the idea of making decisions and taking action in life based mainly on emotion is that emotions have a tendency to change from one minute to the next, and then I may not have the same emotion about a topic that you do, or I may not agree and with something that you might stand on. And so when we allow emotions to make our decisions for us, when we take action based on emotion, a lot of times it's more about us needing to feel like we're validated, we're vindicated, that we're justified in how we feel. And so if others don't line up with how we feel, well, that must mean that they don't like us. It must mean that they're against us. They're our enemies.
It's kind of like a personal fraudulent conflict, right?
Yeah.
There's not always a conflict.
Right.
Disagreement is not a conflict.
No, and as a matter of fact, disagreement is healthy. Disagreement, I think is a good way for people to come together to work through problems, work through issues, and come up with some of the great policy or how to overcome a problem, maybe create a new invention. We don't have a lot of that anymore.
Right.
All we have is you hurt my feelings. Well, you hurt my feelings by having hurt feelings, and before you know it, everything's being done according to feeling, and nothing's actually getting done except trying to make somebody feel better.
Right. Well, you mentioned a circumstance a while ago, and you don't have to get into the specifics of it, but tell us kind of what had happened. Now, what took place regarding somebody's perception versus true facts, their emotional perception versus true facts.
Right. Well, so just an incident that I had to deal with the other day, speaking to an individual who was refusing to communicate with somebody who was in a manager position over them because of a feeling. And what was said to me was, I feel like they think.
That's a whole lot of in the air questions there,
yeah,
right?
A whole lot of assumption, right?
A lot of assumption going on.
And because they felt like this person thought a certain way, they were refusing to communicate. I said, I don't want to talk to them because I feel like they think this about me. Well, the problem with that type of a mindset is that, we already see it immediately. It hinders communication. And communication is key. No matter what you are doing in this life, you have to be able to communicate with other people.
That's right.
Whether it's communicating to receive information or communicating to give information, whether you're building a business, whether you're starting a ministry, whether you're just trying to better yourself, find yourself in a better place in life, you have to be able to communicate. Well, once communication breaks down, then problem solving breaks down. And then all of a sudden, we find ourselves with more problems than solutions and no way of reconciling them. All because we feel like they think this about us, or we feel like this situation wasn't handled the way we want it to. And really, when we come down to it, emotions are not inherently bad, but how we use them can be incorrect.
That's right.
And so all of us have emotion, and all of us, we feel some type of way about, people, circumstances, things that come into our lives. How we choose to react to those is going to make the difference in whether we grow, whether we're strengthened, whether we accomplish anything, or whether we're just going to sit back and cross our arms and pout and wish that the world would acquiesce to our feelings.
That's right. That's right. So, emotions are kind of the carnal safety net, right, of life. That they kind of protect us from some things subconsciously. A lot of things they make worse, but that's what they're there for, more or less, is to situations that you have entered into that were either pleasant or not pleasant, or that your brain says you need to avoid. And many times we've allowed that to override our logical side, because some things we absolutely know are not a danger or are not risky, even though our brain is telling us so. So we have these feelings, right? Or we have built something up, just like you mentioned a while ago, about some guy thinks something about him. That's a whole lot of thinking assumptions in there.
Yeah.
And you are actually redirecting your actions based on a theory of a theory that's unproven and unknown,
Right.
And nobody seems to be in agreement with.
Unsubstantiated.
That's it.
And not based in reality.
Right. So I look at it a lot from the business side, and people that listen to their emotions typically are not business builders. The people that go out and do stuff, true entrepreneurs, people that are out there making big deals, doing big time stuff, they don't listen to their emotions. They don't listen in the morning when they don't feel like doing something, or they don't listen when things get scary, because they know logically, I've got to get to point B to make this thing successful, and I'm going to fight to get there. And I think personally, or I don't know that I think, but I notice that in society today, this seems to be a very prevalent thing, where folks are commonly clinging to those emotions. They're using it for really an excuse a lot of times. Sometimes it's legitimate emotion, legitimate
Right.
Anxieties, fears, happiness, things that make them feel good, that don't make them feel good. But it's their crutch, their excuse, their what have you, to either do or not do something.
So I would look at it like this, that the emotion is justifiable to the circumstance, but the action taken on it may not be.
That's right.
And so if we allow our emotions to hold us back when there's really no legitimate reason for us to allow that,
Right.
Or to keep us from, working together with somebody because we feel like they think about us that maybe we might sort of kind of,
What?
yeah, that's crazy to me. So you're talking about it from the business side. So from the ministry side of things, as I deal with a lot of people in counseling and a lot of people who are seeking advice for me. I hear a lot of times, Pastor, I feel like God wants us to do X, Y, and Z.
Feel like it.
And yeah, the thing about that is we serve a God of certainties, and God does not operate by. He doesn't operate by chance. He doesn't operate by feeling. He spells out for us His will, and what is not plainly spelled out can still be searched and found out through wisdom, through counsel, and the like. But most of the time, when someone tells me, "I feel like God wants us to do this," God's not within 100 miles of what's going on there. And so my first advice is to try to remove that emotion from the equation, and not simply just to say, well, you're just looking at it logically. Well, we want to make spiritual decisions based in reality, based in fact. And so one of the facts that I know is that God is never going to ordain or bless something that doesn't line up with His word.
That's right.
Right? And so when someone says, well, I feel like it's okay for me to do this, if it doesn't line up with Scripture.
That's your truth.
Yeah, well, I guess we all have our truth, but I ascribe to the truth of the Word of God.
There you go.
And so if it doesn't line up with the Word of God, then our feelings are inconsequential.
Right.
What we should do is to be able to back it up and say, all right, God, what is it that you want me to do? Realistically, God, what is it you want me to do? Versus, I feel like this is what you would have me to do.
Right. I got to say, for me, if you come at me with, I feel like, unless you're joking, I've already shut down and stopped listening to whatever you're fixing to say, because that's to me, that's one of the most ridiculous statements ever. I feel like I should go do that. Okay, that's great. I'm glad you feel that way. Let's move on.
Right.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's. I would say that your emotions are that safety net, and there's good reason to have them. But we are humans, right? We
Right.
have, and God's blessed us with the logical side of our brains as well. So, for me personally, there are situations come up that I have feelings about, that I have emotions about, right? There's some things that irritate me. There are some things that make me mad, some things that are sad. But I think the biggest thing is kind of what you were mentioning a while ago, and that is something comes into your life, let's say it's negative, it doesn't need an immediate response. Give yourself a minute to get through that emotional cycle, to come up with a logical solution to your problem and process it.
Yeah.
And you may not have the solution, but your response is imperative.
Well, and I think that the issue boils down to, are we going to rule our emotions and make our emotions serve us?
Right.
Or are we going to be ruled by our emotions and make decisions based on how we feel, which can get us into trouble, right? I mean, I may feel like, so just a hypothetical and kind of way out there, but what if I felt like the car dealership needed to give me a new car? And so I just went down there and demanded it, maybe even stole one and said, I just feel like I should have this, right? I've allowed my emotions to rule me to the point where I have now broken the law, and it's going to cause a lot of problems in my life.
I feel like you'd go to jail probably.
I feel like I probably would also, yeah.
That's right. But that's a common thing, right? Maybe not necessarily to the point of stealing a car, but people will let emotions run their life. They will let friendships suffer, relationships suffer. They will do all sorts of stuff, become, reclusive, maybe not reclusive, maybe get out and draw a lot of attention to themselves, but negative attention. All sorts of stuff can happen when you start going down that road of worrying about me and my situation and my emotional response to everything, right?
Well, and we live in a world today where you can absolutely let all of your emotion run wild and pay
Right.
no consequence for it.
That's right.
And I specifically refer to social media.
Yes.
Because
My
you
goodness.
can get on there and you can rant and rave and
Say whatever
cry
you
and
want.
get mad and yell and scream. Of course, when you're typing, you just type in all caps, and that means that you're
Yeah,
yelling.
that makes
I didn't
you
know
mad.
that till just the other day. I was like, why is this all capitalized? But
Because they were mad at you.
I found that out. Yeah, there's still some things I'm learning when it comes to that, and then there's always a response,
Mm-hmm.
and then that just drives more emotion,
Yeah.
and you've got to have the last
Get the
word.
trolls in there and just start baiting you. It's
Yeah.
all sorts of good stuff. Well, I agree. Who was that Mike Tyson said people didn't get punched enough in the nose? That's. I mean, but that to a point that's true, right?
Right.
When you and I were younger, we didn't have necessarily the intrawebs, and we didn't have cell phones. And if you wanted to say something to somebody, there were consequences to saying
Right.
something to somebody, right? You might be, wiping up your
Yeah.
face in a minute off the concrete. I don't know. But there's absolutely no consequence other than social media consequence for anybody saying anything to anybody about anything.
Yeah,
So, unfortunately, there is, that is a lesson that a lot of people don't learn, and really social media platforms are really a powerful place, especially for young folks, to try to deal with all that stuff and deal with how to process that. And then when they get in the real world and they start talking to people, they don't know how to talk to them. They don't know how to deal with it, and it comes back to this makes me feel this way.
right.
But I digress.
Well, I feel like you're speaking the truth. On that.
I hope so. I hope so. It's emotionally stable to me right now, so that's good. Okay, well, thank you for your input. Appreciate it. Anything else you want to add to it?
I would just try to encourage our listeners to to examine emotion with a grain of salt, understanding that what we feel about a circumstance doesn't make the truth of the circumstance.
It's true.
And so if you're not careful, if we allow our emotions to dictate truth to us, then we start taking actions that are ultimately not going to serve us and may even work against us. And so you find yourself working against yourself. All because instead of ruling those emotions and taking a moment to process them, to look at the situation with some logic, and to base our thoughts in reality and more than how we feel about the circumstance, then we find ourselves ruled by emotion.
It's true. It is true.
That's all I got.
That's all you got.
That's all I got.
Motorcycle school and emotions.
I told Brother Robert this morning. I said, I'm nervous. He said, what are you nervous about? I said, I've never been on a motorcycle before. Tuesday I'm going to get on one. He said, man, quit that. Don't be nervous. Ain't nothing nervous to be about. It's kind of okay, golly, I was feeling something there for a second,
No feels up in here, buddy. No feels.
No.
All right.
And that was an important lesson to me this morning.
Yeah.
Don't let your emotions keep you from doing something that you're
right.
wanting to do.
That's right. You got talent.
No reason to have that. So
You got talent. You got value. Get out there and do something spectacular. Okay. Well, very good. So here in mid-April, we're going to be having a grand opening. We're going to start over there at the BTX spot, and we would love for you guys to come by and see us, come by and have a conversation with us. And I can't hit. My producers tell me not to hit this. My high-dollar producer. All right. Well, you guys have a great week, and we'll catch you soon. Thanks.